If you ever played basketball, you know hand and finger injuries are common. Sometimes when swiping at a ball or catching a pass or doing other basketball moves, the hands and fingers of a player can be jammed, broken, or dislocated. Having bruised fingers from time to time is fairly common for most basketball players at any age or at any level, but usually those injuries are temporary. However, there are some cases where injuries can be permanent, so this video is about the NBA players that have permanently mangled fingers and hands. Former NBA player and current player development coach of the Rockets, Gerald Green, played 17 years of basketball professionally. He played for 8 different NBA teams, a couple teams in China and Russia, and had a few stints in the G League. Although he was a quality role player and reliable three-point shooter during his career, he is also known for having only 9.5 fingers. That's right. When Green was 11 years old, he and his brother were having a jumping contest to determine who can jump higher by running and jumping against a door. For whatever reason, Gerald Green was wearing his mother's ring on his finger during the contest, and on one of the jumps, the ring got caught on a nail in the door, causing serious damage to his finger on the way down. His right ring finger was nearly ripped off, and in the hospital, he had to get surgery to try to recover it. If it was repaired, his hand would be stiff the rest of his life, so his father chose to have his finger amputated at the first knuckle, so Green's professional basketball aspirations didn't die. With his amputated finger, he was able to continue playing basketball, but he was bullied for it as a kid, and he has said he was embarrassed of it up until 30 years old. Without the full finger, he had difficulty writing in school, and it prevented him from palming the ball, which decreased the amount of dunks he had in his career. Fortunately, Gerald Green was able to adjust to shoot with his thumb, index, and ring finger, which helped him make millions as a professional NBA player. After winning his final NBA championship in 1998, Michael Jordan vacationed in the Bahamas to relax after a long season. At some point during his stay, he sliced his right index finger with a cheap cigar cutter that severed a tendon. Shortly after the season, he also announced his second retirement decision, which he claimed many years later was decided before injuring his finger. MJ's finger was then surgically repaired, but there was lasting damage and limited movement. Even a year after the surgery, he had trouble gripping his golf clubs when out on the course. Though Jordan eventually returned to basketball as a Washington Wizard, his impact on the court wasn't the same as when he played in Chicago. There was speculation around the league that his finger injury was the reason for his second retirement and his decline rather than older age, because after getting surgery, he would have been sidelined for 2 months during a shortened 50-game NBA season due to a lockout. Jordan's injury made it harder for him to palm a basketball, which could have contributed to his diminished abilities later in his career. Even former Bulls GM Jerry Krause later wrote, quote, "In the summer after winning the last championship, he'd cut his index finger of his shooting hand very badly with a cigar cutter. It was seriously questionable if he could regain enough movement in his finger to be himself as a shooter." End quote. So do you think a cigar cutter caused Michael Jordan's retirement and basketball decline? Cause I kinda do. Mitch Kupchak is the current GM of the Charlotte Hornets, and his hand looks like this. His pinky finger was likely dislocated or broken many times throughout his basketball career. Yes, before being an NBA executive, Kupchak played in the NBA for the Washington Bullets and Lakers from 1976 to 1986, when he was forced to retire due to injury. After retirement, he earned a business degree and joined the Lakers front office, working his way up to being the general manager in 2000. He had a successful tenure as GM, but was fired in 2017, and then a year later in 2018, became the general manager of the Hornets. Former 4-time All-Star and 2011 NBA champion Shawn Marion has a crooked pinky finger on his left hand. Despite his finger, he played 16 seasons in the NBA with the Suns, Heat, Raptors, Mavericks, and Cavs. His finger became disfigured after being dislocated many times throughout his life. He forgot exactly when it became crooked, but his first dislocation happened at 10 years old, and with each dislocation, it continued to drift left until it became completely deformed. Marion has full use of the pinky and doesn't really plan on getting it straightened out. Another NBA player who is missing part of his finger, was born in Latvia, was drafted in 2011, and has so far played 6 NBA seasons with the Spurs, Wizards, and Mavericks. That player is Bertans, who is missing the top of his right ring finger and the fingernail on his right middle finger. At 13 years old, while helping his father cut wood with a saw, it started raining, so he rushed the process to finish faster. At one point, his glove got caught in the power saw, and it cut his finger off and the nail bed on his middle finger before jamming. Although initially shocked, Bertans doesn't remember feeling any pain and doesn't have a good recollection of the incident overall. He was rushed to the hospital where his finger was amputated and repairs to his damaged hand were made. Despite the missing finger, Davis Bertans still developed to be a good NBA player known for his three-point shooting ability. So I guess you don't really need fingers to shoot a basketball. In 1974, Lionel Hollins was driving a moped and collided with a bicyclist, which caused a significant accident. One of the results of the accident was a broken pinky finger and ring finger. In 1975, Hollins was drafted into the NBA, where he played on the Trailblazers, 76ers, San Diego Clippers, Pistons, and Rockets until 1985. Following retirement, he became a basketball coach for many different college and professional teams. Throughout all that time, his broken fingers never quite really healed correctly, so both are still very crooked. Kurt Rambis had a great 14-year NBA career as a player, winning 4 championships, 2 championships as an assistant coach, and he even won 3 championships as an NBA executive. At the same time, he has some crooked fingers on his hands from years of abuse on the basketball court. Throughout his career, he dislocated his fingers 10 times. And back then, the players would just snap it back into place and continue playing. No team trainers looked at the injuries, they just had to tough it out. His pointer finger has a slight bend to it, his middle finger is pointing left, and his pinky finger is really leaning over, looking like it's about to fall off. Rambis definitely played in an era of physical basketball. Finally, we have Manu Ginobili, who has a gnarly scar on his left hand. The scar was formed as a result of the hand surgery he received to repair the broken 5th metacarpal in his hand in 2012. At the time, he tweeted out a picture of his hand and shared with the world his disappointment of not being able to pursue a career as a hand model. So here are the NBA players with mangled hands and fingers. If you know of any more, comment down below and like this video. Thanks for watching.